Sonic Pocket Adventure. Back in December 1999, upon release, IGN gave this game a 7.9 out of 10, saying, "Too many rings." That was a really bad joke, and it's not true. They scored it a perfect 10 out of 10, which is amazing to say about a game that until last year I didn't even know existed. But I saw it there at my local game shop, alongside this strange console, and I was cautious. There was a time when I thought that the Game Boy was so untouchable that any other handheld consoles failed because they sucked. But I was wrong. Anyway, enough of my rambling on, and let's take a look at Sonic Pocket Adventure. From the start, we're thrown right into the first level, and its name says a lot about the game you're going to be enjoying. Neo means new. South Island is where Sonic lives in the original games. So this game is a mix of familiar and new at the same time. For the fans who have been up and down and all around with this series, let's get the familiar out the way. First, you'll notice that the first level looks like Green Hill Zone, and that's because, well, it is. Yes, despite the new name, this is Green Hill Zone, with a dash of Emerald Hill and a hint of Palm Tree Panic no less. This theme carries over to the rest of the game. Secret Plant is Chemical Plant. Cosmic Casino is Casino Night. Aquatic Relics is Aquatic Ruins with a dollop of Hidden Palace at the end. Then we have a literal Sky Chase remake, leading to Aerobase, which of course is Wing Fortress. And then the final zone we have Gigantic Angel, which is Scrap Brain's aesthetics combined with Metropolis Zone's gimmicks. Now, I just want to say that I'm a huge fan of games with an 8-bit feel, and this game's familiar levels don't bore me because the presentation is top-notch. Levels are bright and colourful, while somehow showing off very specific levels of details in the sprite work. The game runs very smoothly and looks nice, providing you have a good light source to sit under on actual hardware. It's not just the look of the game that keeps it fresh though. Let's suddenly change course into what is new in this game: the level design. For the first level, Neo South Island Zone has a surprising amount of depth. If you're new to how Sonic works, it features a fairly straightforward path that introduces all the main mechanics in an inviting manner that still allows you to feel fast as you complete the level. And that's ultimately what the main appeal of Sonic is. On the main path you'll find enemies to avoid, rings to collect, enemies that will hit you if you don't attack them properly, within a memorable set piece, light platforming, then a spring that takes you to a slope that you need to use speed and momentum to get up. Thankfully, a monitor containing speed shoes is here, which teaches you about the game's power-ups. Then there are 2 loop-de-loops that reward you with a new area to explore, if you wish, and if you do, you'll be rewarded with an extra life and a collectible. Continuing down the main path, you'll run into an obstacle that takes you on an automatic path, teaching the player that they'll have to remember it's there next time they can explore an alternative path. Mastering this in Sonic games is key to completing this stage in the fastest time, but continuing down whichever path you go on, you'll see everything that this zone has to show you, which is excellent and thoughtful level design. This level of quality stands throughout every level, and no matter where you are and which path you were taking, you're going to be having fun from start to finish. As with the classics, there is always an upper, easier path if you are skilled, a middle path that's straightforward, and a bottom path that is more dangerous, but also has lots of things to help you. These levels are very big and interlocked often and have lots to explore. Also new in this game are the bosses. At the end of every second stage, you'll face a boss, which are a mixed bag to be honest. Nearly every boss is original. The first is this forgettable and easy boss, involving a hammer that can only attack you from a short range, so timing hits is pretty easy, and you can defeat it and move on pretty quickly. The second boss is by far my favourite. Eggman will appear but be invulnerable to attack from underneath, so you have to use these platforms to attack. These platforms have gravity physics applied to them, and they will carry you to the other side when stood on. You will have to learn to use the momentum to spin you to the other side. Doing so, you'll avoid the shooting attack, and you can land a hit, land back on the platform, and repeat the process. I love the flow of this one. It also teaches the player that bosses from this point forward require skill to be taken down, and not just need mindless hitting. Cosmic Casino's boss takes place on a huge pinball table that will require control and reactions to defeat. Eggman will bounce about the table in a predictable fashion after stopping from time to time to home in on you. Best method is to stay still and wait for the cue and the right time to attack the top of his mech, as hitting the bottom will damage you. In this playthrough, I took it down pretty quickly, but I struggled on my first time, and I'll get to why later. The next boss is Knuckles, and he's gotten tougher since his fight in Sonic and Knuckles. Best time to attack is quickly after or during his landing from a gliding attack. Most other hits you attempt to make will either be deflected or straight up countered, and if you're not careful, you will be defeated. After Knuckles, we have another returning boss, this time the original Mecha Sonic from Sonic the Hedgehog 2, but much easier this time because his moveset hasn't really changed. Even if you haven't faced him before, you have access to rings this time, so you can still try what works and what doesn't. Overall, fairly easy boss to be honest. Gigantic Angel's boss is a big tough one that requires good timing to take down. Eggman will drop bombs in a rhythm that you will get used to, but you'll also have to watch out for rounds of bullets to dodge as well. Hitting Eggman can be done by either being patient and waiting for him to randomly and momentarily drop, or, if you're lucky, you might discover that you can actually land on top of the explosions that act as a split-second platform, and you can land a hit that way. I did not know this on my first playthrough, but now I do, and so do you, so have fun beating this one. Now, all of this wouldn't be so much fun without great controls, and I have to say, the emulator does not do it justice. If you're going to play this game, do it on actual hardware, because that clicky stick is so perfect. The only way I can describe it is like a thumbstick, 8-way D-pad hybrid. This makes the controls incredibly precise and fun to use. Sonic moves with ease and he comes to a stop nicely too. Jumps get high depending on how long you hold the jump button for, and the physics are acceptable for an 8-bit game. They're certainly better than any of the other 8-bit games that came out before it, and control much better than some of Sonic Team's more recent outings.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces.
Sonic's moveset is back to basics though. There is no super peel out from CD, and no insta shield from Sonic 3, and his shield powers are limited to just the classic blue one this time round. However, there's no need to despair at all, because these levels are beautifully built from the ground up for this more basic moveset. You will be having a lot of fun. Another positive addition to the game is a dynamic camera that will let you see as much as you can in the direction that you are facing. More thoughtful design here, considering the small aspect ratio the console screen had to offer. It's not perfect though, you will still run into some enemies as you go in blind, but the developers have once again been thoughtful regarding this, and when Sonic is damaged, he has a much longer recovery to buy you some extra time to find another ring or to get out of a sticky situation. Be careful though, Sonic still cannot avoid death by drowning, bottomless pits, or being crushed. These moments are few and far between though, so the level design is mostly thoughtful, but there are moments of strange design choices that don't work as intended. At some places in your chosen path there are these slopes on the ceilings of walls that no matter how I approach them, they never worked. While Sonic in this game is fully capable of running on walls, he can only do so if he has the momentum to. I'm sure that using the Mega Drive physics, these bits of level design would work as intended, but in this game, using its engine, they do not. These physics also make Cosmic Casino feel more frustrating than it needs to be. The bumpers behave too erratically for me to handle, and it feels more like luck is the only thing that's going to help you advance in the level. This level's boss though, thanks to hardware limitations, is hard for all of the wrong reasons. Every other boss is taking place on what is probably between 1 and 2 screens, but you can always see what you need to. Cosmic Casino's boss takes place on a pinball table that takes up 6 screens worth of space. meaning that unless your reactions are perfect and you know what you're doing, you are going to get surprise attacked a lot and maybe die. But that's all I negatively have to say about this game. Sure, there's also some slowdown whenever Sonic loses his rings, but until Christian Whitehead started using his retro engine, that's always been a thing, so I think as a Sonic fan, I'm used to it, but it's still worth mentioning. So how does this game make you come back to it? Well, it wouldn't be a Sonic game without special stages and Chaos Emeralds, and they're present. At the end of every first act, if you have been skilled and collected at least 50 rings, you can enter one of 6, via a giant ring that you jump in before the signpost hits the ground. These are once again familiar territory for Sonic fans, as they are based on the infamous half-pipe Collect the Rings special stages from Sonic the Hedgehog 2. But thanks to that satisfying clicky stick and the fluidity of the animation on the actual screen, these control way better than the ones in Sonic 2 ever did. But they are difficult. That's not a complaint though, these should be difficult. You'll be coming back to try and master these using memorization and position control. It will take skill to collect the 6 Chaos Emeralds. Hang on, did I say 6? Does that mean there's no Super Sonic? Do I have to pay to unlock Super Sonic as DLC? Just hang in there. As minimal as it is, this game does have a story, introduced through cutscenes in the second half of the game. Watch. Oh, Eggman has the 7th one. That's right, and to unlock Super Sonic you have to defeat the final boss differently. Now this took me by surprise on my first playthrough, because no matter how many times I tried to take him down, who by the way attacks you with various moves with his big hand mech thing, I couldn't take that final emerald from him. But after cheating and referring to an online guide, I learned that to get that last emerald you had to instead hit specifically the emerald 8 times before you take down Eggman. And when you've done that successfully, it'll fall out and you can pick it up, and then you just finish him off. This blew my mind at first, but it seems a bit obvious looking back at it. But I think it's rare that Sonic bosses give you an additional thing to do, and in my eyes it helps the game stand out with its memorable bosses. And here is your reward. A small cutscene will play, and a secret boss fight will follow. As Super Sonic, scrolling in this level is automatic, and your jump button becomes a button that pushes you forward as you fly freely. Use this boost to shoot missiles back at Eggman, while avoiding other projectiles and collecting rings to keep your time from running out, which will cause death if it does. Super Sonic is limited to just this one stage, but it's nice enough in this handheld game. Now, before I round this whole thing up, I need to talk about the game's sound design, specifically the music. We're once again in familiar territory, but at the same time, it's completely new. Fans may recognise some of the tracks in the background because they are all taken from Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles' soundtrack. They've all been remixed as 8-bit tracks and then just dumped in the most random level, which really feels odd, especially to fans who know the original track, but somehow they fit. It really kept me playing the game because I wanted to hear what the next track was going to be, where it was going to be, and it gave me every single time it gave me joy to hear it. There are some original compositions too. The title theme, special stage theme, and credits music are their own original takes on the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 title theme, and they sound quite good. They are memorable and I like them. And Neo South Island opens to a remix of the Sonic World music from Sonic Jam. The rest of the sound design is nice, Everything you interact with has its own sound effect that is distinct. And that was Sonic Pocket Adventure. As soon as I started playing this game, to the moment I finished it, it instantly became my favourite of the 8-bit games. It is a joy to play, even today, and is Sonic done right on weaker hardware? Nearly. I would strongly recommend this one, along with a Neo Geo Pocket Color. You'll not regret it, plus you'll have a pretty good new handheld console to play with. So let's recap with some bullet points instead of a score. You will love the rewarding level design, the cute graphics, fantastic remixed music. You'll happily want to return. Fresh takes on existing elements, and mostly fun boss fights. You might not like performance issues, Cosmic Casino's boss, and yourself for failing the special stages. For those of you who just wanted an opinion on the game, you may close the video now, as the rest of the video will be me begging you to subscribe. It's done. Listen, I'm not going to ask you to subscribe. I'm not going to beg you to smash that like button, but as you can probably tell, this is my first video, and it's been a hell of a journey. Just been coming in from work at the end of every day and just doing a little bit more, getting used to all the editing stuff, and I know I could have done much better. You know, I'm using an Elgato game capture connected to an emulator on the Wii, and that's why the footage and frame rate was bad. To get this stuff and to record the voiceover bits, I've been using a mobile phone, quite literally, and my laptop. Oh, the specs on this laptop. It's powerful enough to run Minesweeper sometimes. Point is, I'm not going to ask you to sub or anything like that, but I would like some feedback, please. You know, what you didn't like, what you liked, because this is something I really want to do. Your feedback could shape the future of this channel, so while this video settles and finds viewers, if it even finds viewers, and I'm just going to be experimenting with different kinds of videos and seeing what works best for me, what you guys like, and who knows, one day I could be oh, cringy stuff. So thank you. I think that's it. Is that it? Yeah, I'll see you later.